Poland is steadily emerging as one of Europe's most compelling travel destinations, drawing visitors from every corner of the globe. Among its many treasures, Gdańsk shines as one of the country's brightest stars. For centuries, Gdańsk was one of the great cities of the Hanseatic League. Its history was shaped by Poland, the Teutonic Order, Prussia, and successive German states. Yet throughout these changing eras, the city retained a remarkable degree of autonomy and a strong civic identity. A stroll through the main town, along Long Lane and the Long Market, where Neptune's fountain stands before the magnificent artist court, is an experience no visitor should miss. During the interwar years, Gdańsk belongs neither to Poland nor to Germany. Under the Treaty of Versailles, it became the Free City of Danzig, an autonomous city-state placed under the protection of the League of Nations while maintaining close economic and political ties with Poland. More than 90% of its inhabitants spoke German. Many also retained a strong local identity, seeing themselves first and foremost as citizens of Gdańsk, even as German nationalism grew increasingly influential during the 1930s. At the same time, the city was home to a vibrant Polish community. Polish newspapers were published. The Polish post office operated in the city, and on the Westerplatte Peninsula, Poland maintained the military transit depot, guarded by a small detachment of Polish soldiers. Throughout its history, Gdańsk has been shaped by the sea. For centuries, it was one of the Baltic's greatest trading ports, with the Motława waterfront alive with merchant ships, river barges, and bustling quays. Grain floated down the Vistula for export, while cloth, spices, and herring arrived from across Europe. Dominating the harbor stood the medieval Gdańsk Crane, built in the 15th century. Powered by enormous wooden tread wheels turned by human strength, it served as a harbor crane, a city gate, and part of the city's fortifications. Today, alongside Neptune's fountain, it remains one of Gdańsk's most iconic landmarks and enduring symbols. Amber, the gold of the Baltic, has been part of Gdańsk's story for centuries. Collected along nearby shores, traded throughout Europe, and transformed into exquisite works of art by local craftsmen, it remains one of the city's most enduring treasures. Mariacka Street, often considered the most beautiful street in Gdańsk's main town, is the city's historic heart of the amber trade. Its picturesque townhouses are home to numerous amber galleries, workshops, and jewelry boutiques. Curiously, much of the raw amber did not originate in Poland. Domestic deposits were limited and tightly controlled, while the richest reserves lay in what is now Russia's Kaliningrad region. As a result, a significant share of the amber reaching Poland arrived through unofficial trading routes. Through the narrow Plebania Lane, we arrive at St. Mary's Basilica, one of the world's largest brick churches. This immense Gothic hall church took an astonishing 159 years to build, finally being completed in 1502. During Teutonic rule, its tower was deliberately built only to the height of the roof, so it would not surpass the castle. Only after Gdańsk returned to Polish rule in 1466 could the tower finally be raised to the height that still dominates the city's skyline today. The vast interior is as impressive as the church itself. Many of Gdańsk's powerful merchant guilds maintain their own chapels here. Cannonballs from historic sieges remain embedded in the walls, while among its greatest treasures is Hans Memling's Last Judgment, looted by Gdańsk privateers after they seized the Burgundian ship St. Thomas in 1473. Our journey continues up the basilica's narrow spiral staircase, climbing towards the top of its towering belfry. The first 120 steps lead through a remarkably narrow staircase hidden within the side aisle. Beyond it, we emerge into the vast space between the church's brick vaults and the roof, revealing the astonishing scale of this Gothic masterpiece. From there, the climb continues inside the great bell tower itself, divided into 2 levels by a massive wooden platform. Here hang 2 modern bells, the nearly 8-ton Gratia Dei and the 2.6-ton Ave Maria, both cast in 1970. Finally, after climbing all 420 steps, we reach the viewing gallery, 82 meters above the streets of Gdańsk. Anyone with a fear of heights may want to think twice. The panorama is breathtaking in every direction. To the east lie the Zouavi lowlands, as flat as a table and in places below sea level. To the north, the rooftops of Gdańsk fade into the distance towards the Baltic Sea, almost lost on the horizon, yet the gateway that shaped the city's history and prosperity. To the west, the modern districts spread across the landscape. To the south, the rolling moraine hills rise to Gdańsk's highest point in Osowa, reaching 180 meters above sea level. It's time to return to ground level. Our walk-ins on the Rybackie Pobrzeże, beside the fish market, where the Motława still buzzes with life. Gdańsk continues to grow and evolve, as it has through most of its history as part of Poland. And now for a fascinating connection with Gdańsk. Many historians of science believe that 0 on the Fahrenheit scale was inspired by the lowest temperature Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit recorded here during the Great Frost of 1708 to 1709. He later reproduced that temperature using a mixture of ice, water, and salt, adopting it as the reference point for 0 on his scale. But the skies above Gdańsk have not always been blue. At times, they have been darkened by the storms of history. One such moment came in 1939, when Nazism revealed its true face here. In August, the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein arrived in Gdańsk on what was officially described as a courtesy visit. At exactly 4:45 a.m. on 1st September, it opened fire on the Polish military transit depot at Westerplatte, marking the beginning of the Second World War. The Germans expected to capture the position within hours, yet around 200 Polish soldiers, outnumbered by roughly 15 to 1, held out for 7 days. They fought with such determination that, after the surrender, the German commander allowed Major Henryk Sucharski to retain his ceremonial sword as a mark of respect. Today, the ruins of the Polish fortifications still stand, and visitors can climb the 25-meter monument to the defenders of the coast, overlooking the place where the Second World War began. Unveiled in 1966, the monument symbolizes the courage and sacrifice of those who defended Westerplatte against overwhelming odds. Every year, on September 1st, international commemorations are held here. Throughout the rest of the year, it remains a place of remembrance, inviting visitors to reflect on the tragic course of history.